Good evening, ladies. How are you doing? Doing well. We'll give you a moment to get on. I don't know how many will be on tonight with me, so we shall see. Alrighty. So I'm going to get started because I'm not 100% sure who's going to join tonight. So I'm just going to get started. If you pop on, say hi that you're here. Okay, our first card for tonight will be this card using a tag. So you should have a bracket that says thanks. The tag itself, you're going to have a tag topper. You will have some leaves, some darling little sequined flowers. You will have two smaller pieces. The black is about 7/8 by 5, and then the pink polka dot is 1" by 4 3/4. And then you have this beautiful plaid. So we're going to begin by folding our card base. In elementary land, we would call this hamburger because it's short and chubby, as opposed to being long and skinny like a hot dog. That's the way we do it in elementary. Okay, I'm going to give it a good pressing with my bone folder. And we are going to start by placing our plaid on first. So I'm going to do that first. And I'm going to center that within the white of the card base so that you have that nice little 1/4 inch all the way around. Next, I'm going to take these two pieces that are skinny, the 1" by 4 3/4, and I am going to dovetail one end. And I'm going to flip it because that's the way I like to do mine. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the black. I'm going to cut in the center, cut from the bottom up to my center, turn my paper over, and cut from the bottom again back up to my center. It just seems like when I do it that way, I'm actually getting a better dovetail. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is we're going to place our pink polka dot down first. And that is, let's see, it's between the 1/4 and the 1/2 from the bottom of the card. So this would have been the 1/4. That's the 1/2, and I'm going to go right in between the two. And I'm going right to the edge of the plaid paper. Okay, next we're going to take the black, and this one you can either let it tuck underneath the polka dot or it can go over the polka dot. Looks like the original, I have it tucking underneath. So I'm just gonna kind of thread that under there just a hair, like that. And that is so far how much it should be, how it should be looking. Okay. Next, let's dress up our tag. Now your tag is going to have, hopefully the little holes will pop out easily. So you're going to pop those two little holes out for the tag topper. And we're going to put a little bit of liquid glue around this. It looks like I have it kind of stuck. I might have something in there. There we go. Okay. Now it might be easier to use like a set of tweezers. Totally up to you how you would like to do that part. Okay. So you're just going to get that tag topper on right over the holes. I'm going to bring the camera down just a little bit. Okay. So I put that tag topper right there. Now we can place the tag onto our card. So that is going to be, let's see, let's get it at an inch marker here so I can look. 1, 2, 3, about 3/4 of an inch in and approximately 3/4 of an inch up. So 1, 2, 3, there's my up, and 1, 2, 3, that's my to the side. Okay, so I'm going to place that on next. Next, we're going to take some foam and we're going to put that on the back of our thanks bracket. Now, before I put it onto my card, what I like to do is I like to place it where I want it. And since I have these leaves that would be tucking underneath, I actually want to put those on first. So I'm just laying this. I need a little bit more foam because it seems to be not fully stable. I hope that makes sense. Hi, Cindy. How are you? Hope you're doing well. So I'm going to place that on my card like so. Now I'm going to place my 2 leaves. And I'm going to grab a pair of tweezers because sometimes it's a little easier to do that. So I'm going to use my liquid glue here. And I'm just going to put a little bit on the leaf and on the stem. And so with the first one, I'm going to let it tuck underneath. And it's going to lay between the tag. So it'll be part on the tag and part on that plaid base. Okay? Hey, Val! Now we're going to take the second leaf. And I'm going to do the same thing this time. It's going underneath. It needs to lay underneath this corner. I'm going to put it right about there. As long as you have the 2 stems underneath the thanks, that's kind of the going part. Okay, so now that I have that done, I can remove the backing off of the foam. And we can place that right back onto our card like that. And then we have these beautiful sequin flowers. I was going to say hearts. They're not hearts. They're flowers. And I am going to, and they're already pre-adhesive, so that's even better. Now, if the adhesive doesn't want to come off, you're just going to kind of pinch it with your fingers and smush them together, and then they will come off. And I'm going to put one up here on my tag. I am going to put one on this diagonal coming from the K onto the plaid, and they're meant to be very soft and understated on the card. And now I'm going to put that third one down here on the polka dot paper near the leaf and the word thanks. And that's our first card. Super easy tonight. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Okay, that's the first card. So I'm going to move those out of my way. And I'm going to bring in the supplies for our next one, which is this beautiful thanks card. Now remember, all four of our cards tonight are thank you cards. Okay, so let's take a look at what's in your supplies. You are going to have the glittered thanks, and you might have to pop that center for the A out. It may not have been fully, it should pop out relatively easy. We are going to have some yellow, they're kind of like a yellowish, goldish, clear dots, but they're very, very low profile, which I love. And those are Stampin' Up. And they're, I'm telling you, I've gone through 2 packs already. I'm on number 3 now. We're going to have this fun circle element. And again, you may have to do a little punch out of your own. I tried to get all those out. And hopefully they come out relatively easy. This one is trying to be a little difficult with me. So I guess I'm gonna need to take a pair of scissors just to free it up a little. There we go. There we go. So we have that circle element. You're going to have a little strip of butterflies. You're going to have a white piece that has been embossed with dots. And then we have our background of honey butter. And then our card base. So let's first fold our card base. Now, when class is over this evening, I will show you our next set of cards. Our theme for next month will be Kid Birthday. And I really tried to be mindful that many of you don't have littles anymore. So I really tried to make it a little more grown up of a card, okay? So the first thing we're going to do here, we will put the yellow base on first. Now remember, this is honey butter. It is still close to my heart color. I'm working through my cardstock before I make any huge purchases of cardstock from Stampin' Up. Once a color is gone and I don't have a match to it, then I will begin ordering. Unless it's, of course, a color that is just yummalicious, like Blackberry Bliss. Blackberry Bliss, I think, is my absolute favorite color. And I'm really tempted to buy one of the other new ones called Secret Sea. It's very similar to Harbor. So that might be in my next order. Don't know yet. So put your embossed sheet down next. And then we're going to do the butterfly piece. So now the butterfly piece, it is, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 3/4 of an inch in from the side of the card. 3/4, 1, 2, and 3. And the bottom of the butterflies will hit the bottom of the white. So the butterflies go from the top of the white down to the bottom of the white. They will not go over into the yellow, just so you know. All right, our next element is we will want to put our circle down next because everything else gets layered on top of it. So I am going to put some adhesive here. You can use liquid glass. Any type of liquid glue really will work nice, like the green Tombow or the blue Tombow. This is called Bearly Art glue. I found it scrapbook.com. Amazon has it as well. Okay, I'm going to place this towards the bottom of my card. And it will overlap. Now I may not have put enough because of the embossed folder here. So I'm just really pressing it into my card base. Okay. Now you are more than welcome to cut little pieces of foam to put on the back of the thanks. I realize I am usually the crazy lady who would be doing that, but tonight I am not going to do that because I'm not that crazy. So I'm going to use my liquid glue again. One more day of school, that's tomorrow. And then I'm on summer vacation. Okay, let's place our thanks. And I'm going to allow it to overlap the butterfly paper, the white embossing paper, and the pink circle. Okay, we have that on. Excellent. Now, I'm looking for a tool and I just found it. So let's put our gems on next, our low profile dots. I'm going to put the largest one towards the bottom and I'm putting it kind of in between two embossed circles. Okay. Now I have the two smaller ones and I'm going to do one overlapping the butterfly paper and the white embossing paper. And then we will do the third one, and that one's actually going to go right onto the butterfly paper. Let me turn that just a hair so I have a little place to pick it up. And I'm gonna, here's 1, 2, so I'm gonna go in between those two butterflies. You always want to try to put it where it's like a visual triangle. Let me bring the camera down just a hair bit more for you. So if you think of like a triangle, here would be the 1 point, 2 point, 3 point, and it comes back down. So that's called that visual triangle. Okay. And that's our second card. Tonight's cards are fun, they're quick, they're easy. That one is all done. All right, let's bring in our third one. Now this card, we have done a variation over the last 2 months. This card has had a little bit of a makeover each month. It is one of those fun, oh thanks Jennifer, one of those fun and easy show-stopping type of cards. So let's get ready to build this card. What you will have is you will have a wonky circle that already says thank you. You are going to have a fern bracket and a second fern bracket. Then you will have a yellow, which looks like a blob, but it is the inside of our flower. And then you will have your flower. Now, if your inside for the flower is already pushed out, and don't worry about it, you're going to put it right back in anyway. Okay, so we're going to set that aside. You are going to have 2 pieces of yellow plaid. And then you will also have 2 pieces of floral. Okay, and then our card base. So I'm going to scooch the original over and up. And now our card base, you're going to fold at that center line. Give it a crispy edge, use your bone folder. And if you don't have a bone folder, you can use your nails, or let me put my cap back on my scissors. You can use the rounded edge of your scissors to give it that edge, okay? Anything that has a little more oomph to it. Next, we're going to take where I have scored it for you, and that score line is, if you had not the whole card open, 1 1/4 inches. Okay, we're going to take that spot that's already been scored for you, and we're going to fold it back. Okay, so fold it back in on itself. And again, you're going to want to give it a nice crispy edge. So make sure both of those feel good and crisp. All right, we're going to start with one of the floral pieces. So let's put our adhesive on that. And the back side is the yellow plaid. So if you're like, oh, you know what? I think I want the yellow plaid as the chunkier spot, you can do that. And that is going to go right on the front of our card in that larger area between the center of the card and that score line for the little flap. Now I'm going to fold that flap back, and I want one of the plaid pieces next. And again, if you put plaid here, then you're going to want to put the flower on that tiny flap. And that's just going to get centered. Use that larger piece to help guide the top and the bottom for you. Okay. Now we're going to put the other yellow plaid on this edge. And hopefully I didn't stamp too close to the edge of this. Yes, I did. All right, so I'm going to have to actually go over and off on mine because I stamped it a little too far over. And what I'll do is I'm going to actually trim that part off. So I'm going to trim right here. Because if I had put it all the way on to my card, I would have been missing and going over the stamped image of the sentiment. And if you're like, I'm good with that, I'm going to restamp or I'm going to flip the card inside out, totally up to you. Okay. Now I'm going to open this up. See, this should have been shifted over just a hair. Now I'm going to take that last piece that was floral and I'm putting it over on the left-hand side of the card where it's open. So it's closer to the inside center of the card. Okay, so now we can finish our decorating. So for this, we're going to actually get everything built on our circle because then it will lay on our card base a lot easier. So I'm just going to set that card aside for a second, and I want to continue building my circle. So I'm going to take the first bracket, and if you look at them carefully, the bracket that would be where the point is on the left, that is going to be the bracket that goes on the top, the ferned bracket on the top of my blue. So if there's any parts that were not punched out, you can punch those out now for that piece. And I had like 2 little pieces. Now I'm going to use that liquid glue. And I'm going to be a little more generous on the flat, the straight edges. And I'm not going to be super generous on the ferned parts because I want to make sure they are not going to go off of the blue. I hope that makes sense. All right, so I'm going to lay this. I'm going to go right about there, I think. And I think I got all the parts that needed to be glued. And if I have to, I can always go back in and just give it a little dab where it needs it. Now you should have your other piece, and see, I have a piece here that needs to get a little snipped out. And I'm just going to go very carefully because these are so delicate. I don't want to rip the fern. So I'm just going to be very careful. All right, now for this, I am only putting adhesive, the liquid glue, along this flat edge. I don't want it on the fern part because it will then, it's too much. I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to put some here, and I'm going to kind of lay it right where I'm thinking. So I'm going to overlap because I want it to lay, it's going to go underneath the blue. And I'm going to stop right there. Now I'm going to pull this out, and I'm going to put my blue down. So this is what we have so far. Okay. Now we're going to put our flower. And if that center came out, you're going to want to fit that center right back in. And I'm going to tuck it here on the corner of the fern. And I'm going to let that fern piece kind of dangle on top. Now that crazy yellow splat, we're going to put a little bit of foam on the back of that. And that's what's going to go into the center of the red. Lift that fern piece up just a hair. There we go. Now all of this is going to go onto my card, but I also want to be very mindful of where I need to put the adhesive now. So I'm going to put the adhesive only on this mid section that is going to lay on the yellow plaid. So it's going to lay just like that. Now, if I'm feeling like, oh, I'm worried about the fern, I might just give this a couple of little bits of adhesive. Oh, yeah, I can go a little bit more. Then that way it's a little more stable and secured. Because my card would open like that. So I'm going to give a little bit up here on this one. Right there. Okay, and that is our third card. But isn't that pretty? It's a very, very pretty thank you card. Okay, and it really didn't need any extra embellishments because all of the ferns kind of give it that embellished feel. Okay, so let's set that one aside, and now we're going to pull in our last one. And our last one is going to be more of a fancy fold card, like this, and then like this. So I'm going to set the sample off to the side. Thanks, Jennifer. You're going to have 3 peach dots. we're going to have the inside of your card that says, "You're the best part of my day," which I believe is Folgers coffee. And then you're going to have the "Thanks a latte," and then our little cute coffee cup. You're going to have a splatter, some beans, a peach piece, and then you're going to have 2 pieces, and this is actually crumb cake. See, I told you, I do have a few of the Stampin' Up! Colors, but not very many, but this one is crumb cake. So this piece is 4 1/4 by 4 1/4, and it is scored at 1 inch. And then you're going to have your base of your card as well. So let's first work on this piece right here. So I'm going to fold at that 1 inch mark, and I'm going to really varnish it well with my bone folder. Okay. And we're going to put that peach piece on first. And that is going to get centered within, sorry, I was out of the range of the camera. There we go. I'm going to center this within the crumb cake piece. Next, I want to take the coffee splatter piece and that is going to, let's see, it is about 1/2 of an inch in. Scoot that up a little. So I'm going to put this 1, 2, 1/2 an inch right about there. And right there. Okay. Next, I'm going to take the Thanks a Latte, and this is going to be done flat because the coffee cup will be raised. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball it, center it. I want it closer to the splatter. I'm going to cover up one part of that splatter. Like that. And I'm going to hold off on the coffee cup because I need to continue the building process before I put that on. Okay, so let's set this Thanks a Latte piece aside. And now we need to take our card base. This is the base. I'm going to fold it in. So this is the smaller side. But here's the trick. We're going to turn it. So we have this smaller flapped side is going to be to the right. And we are going to place the inside of our card in this nice larger opened space. But before we do that, I'm just going to set it here because this flap is going to be placed inside, but we're going to put it underneath the white because I like where you're not seeing that hinge. Okay, so I'm going to put my adhesive, and I'm going to be very generous with my adhesive along this panel. Now you can either use your regular adhesive, or you could use like a tear-in tape or a red line tape. Completely up to you which of those you would prefer. I'm just going to use my tape runner. All right, I'm going to set this right about there. And now I'm going to just eyeball right where I want it. So the edge is to the edge. So both edges are lining up, and I am 3/4 of an inch from the bottom, and I'm only 1/2 an inch from the top. I think I want to come down just a tiny bit, so I'm a little more even. Now you could actually bring it down further. So I'm going to, you know what, for this one, I'm going to bring mine down to 1/4 of an inch, and I'm going to allow that white to really showcase. So now I'm just going to use my finger and really varnish it in with my finger. And now we can place our inside sentiment of our card in the inside of the card. And what's going to be nice is this flap, which you can see right now, we're not going to be able to see that once we place this on. Just like that. Okay. Now let's close the door to the right side of our card. And we're going to put those coffee beans. Now, if you're like, oh, I really like that plaid, please, this is your card. You can change things up how you would like it. So I'm going to center those beans to this side of my card. This is on that right flap. Now I can bring over the top. You see how this one, you can see more of those beans in the white, where this one, it's a little more even, okay? So let's build our little coffee cup. Next, I'm going to put my adhesive on the sleeve, the coffee sleeve. And then you're going to just place that on so that this line should make the continuation. They're not going to line up super perfect, but they're pretty darn close. All right, so now I want to put this coffee cup here, but I do want to put a little bit of foam. So I'm going to put it upside down. Let's put something there so it doesn't go flip-flopping all around on me. And I'm going to put some foam on this edge. I need just a teeny tiny bit more. And that was just a little too much. Right there, perfect. And then that little bit I can put right there. Okay, let's take the foam off. And now I'm going to place this on to that front panel. And the reason I did that upside down part was I don't want that foam being over here, because then what it would do would be closing up my card, and I don't want it to close up my card. Okay, now let's put our gems on. Now for the original, I had the largest way down at the bottom. Well, I kind of can't do that because I don't have that room. So I'm going to put that largest one way up at the top this time on the white. And then if we look at the sample, I have the medium and the small over on the beans above the coffee cup. This time, I'm going to put them towards the bottom of the coffee cup, but again, still on the beans. I'm going to put one there. And you know what? I might put the third one. Oh, I'm going to put the third one over onto that splatter. So I'm going to get them really further apart this time versus how I did on the original sample. So then your card would simply open like that. This is a variation to a gatefold. Okay, so that is our fourth card. Let me just clear a few of the tools off of my table. So now I can show you next month's cards. And, oh, here they are. I was like, wait a second, I lost them. So next month, we will be doing Kid Birthday. So let me just raise the camera up just a bit. Thanks, Jennifer. So the first one is this, and it's Make-A-Wish. It's very boy-oriented, but it's not little boy. And then the inside, it's your birthday. The more candles, the bigger the wish. So very simple, but easy. It has that plaid feel to it. So that is the first card. And then the second card that would be geared more towards a boy would be this one. It's your birthday, Make-A-Wish. And then the inside just says happy birthday. Real simple. And I did do a little bit of sponging up at the top and a little bit down here at the bottom. So the event has already been created. You can go in and join the event so that then you're able to see what supplies you're going to need and all the due dates for the class. This is our third card. It says happy birthday. We got those cute balloons. Now, again, this is another variation to that gatefold that we just did. This time you're going to use that banner as that flipping mechanism. And then you have this bottom that would have been, so if we were looking at the card that we just created, how that, where the coffee cup, it opened to the right and then the big panel opened to the left. I'm sorry, left to the right. This panel's slightly smaller. So it's just that variation again. Okay. And then you're going to be fussy cutting out those balloons and drawing in the little streamers. And then the fourth one, and so that one I kind of felt was very girl or boy-ish, and this one's definitely girlish. And so you're going to be putting these 1/4 inch panels down. And then we have the cute happy birthday. And then this one on the inside just says, it's your day. Now, excuse me, our July class, I am not done designing. I have only gotten one card designed thus far, and that theme will be Get Well. So this is the first card, and I don't have the others created yet, but it opens like this. Now, don't panic. Everything will be stamped for you. You will only be fussy cutting these 2 leaves. Because I am not fussy cutting leaves for you because I'll be doing all this stamping. Unless I can get us into the new Allen Park Coffee Shop, which is my goal as soon as school gets out, to go talk to the owner and to see if he'd be willing to let us come in person. I'm hoping. All right, so that one, I have 3 more still to design for our Get Well cards. And this will be the August class. The kid birthday is the July class. Paper Pumpkin, our Paper Pumpkin alternative class. Now, you need to be a Paper Pumpkin subscriber so that you can get the kit. And if you join now, you would be getting the June kit, which we will be doing that class, that alternative class, in July. So what I'm about to show you was the May kit that we will be putting together in June, but this May kit is still available. So once you're a subscriber, you can then purchase past kits. So I hope that makes sense. So here are the cards that we will be making. So this is similar to a gatefold, like this. And then we have this one, and it's on that beautiful blue, which was periwinkle, actually. And then we have this, and this is exactly what Stampin' Up! Would recommend. This is how their card looks. But I did a little, I did not deconstruct this card. Okay, so those are the 3 for that, and then there's a layout. Now, here would be the next set of cards that all still are using that same Paper Pumpkin kit. So this, I ripped 2 pieces, but not the 2 vellum pieces. And I don't worry about the insides right away. And then we'll be making this one that has that beautiful texture of the swirls and then the trees. Now that very first card I showed you, here is another variation with a different card panel. And then using some of the vellum. And then there's this card that has these 2 beautiful, and we cut the panel in half, and then you're gonna put them on the 2 pieces. So you would need to bring your paper trimmer when I'm working with you for this class. So that's the second base. Here is the third base, because you get 3 bases, 3 of each of the 3 bases. So I created multiple cards for our class. So this was the panel. It was actually the full card, but we took it down a bit. And then you're going to use a die cut once you're here with your kit. And we're going to die cut out this rectangle. I will have the trees already pre-cut for you. And then that's how I built this first card. This card is exactly the way Stampin' Up said. So this would be the base. Okay, so like this previous card, I had cut this base in half. And I used the other half to make this card. So this is the 2 parts of the base. Card 1, card 2. So I got 2 out of 1 base. This, and then this, we would have this one, which would have been the second base. And then there were some leftovery parts that I didn't use, and I used them on this card instead. And then there is a scrapbook page as well. And that has already been posted, okay? So that would be our next paper pumpkin class. If you're interested, you can shoot me a message. If you're like, oh, I'm not quite sure what to do, you can let me know and I can walk you through that. All right, but have a super evening, and this video will get transferred over to YouTube over the weekend. And if you could go to YouTube and then like and subscribe, that will help grow my teeny tiny little channel. So have a super evening, and I will talk to all of you on Sunday for Sunday Fun Day. All right, have a good evening.